Okay. Welcome, everybody, to Chaz and Friends. This is episode 20, and I am very happy to be joined by the amazing Andrew from Andrew's Wizardly Reads. He is a very wizardly chap, in fact. And I've got all his links in the description below. Make sure you check him out, subscribe to his channel. He's got really awesome content, and this guy has energy. Like in his videos, his energy just kind of bounces off the walls. I wish I could bottle his energy and have some of it. So I really appreciate that, and it makes him very engaging to watch. So please check him out.
Thank you.
And yeah, I mean, and make sure that if you want to share anything today about like stuff you've got coming up, Andrew, things like that, feel free now. Now's the time.
Stuff that I've got coming up. What do I have coming? I've got like various live shows planned. Probably one of the more exciting ones is I've got an interview with Drew Hayes coming up.
Nice.
I don't know if you know who Drew Hayes is, but he's
I
like the self-pub author that got me back into reading like super hardcore. And
heard you mention him.
yeah, I've read like 20 of his books, so
Yeah.
it's exciting. Great stuff. If you haven't checked out Drew Hayes, you need to check out Drew Hayes. Like I'm still like, because one of my patrons, like I told him about Drew Hayes, and so he went and joined Drew's Patreon, and then just messaged him saying, "Hey, Andrew wants to talk to you," and he was like, "Okay." And so then like he pinged me on Discord, and he's like, "Hey, you want to chat? I got a book coming out soon." And I was like, "Yes."
That's cool. What an opportunity. That's awesome.
Yeah. In terms of energy, I don't know. It's funny because there's like three different stages, three different types of Andrews you're gonna get on my channel. If you go all the way back, you get kind of static, uncomfortable in front of the camera, Andrew. And then if you start hitting into my tags, at one point I just said whatever and just started like going off the rails just with high energy and loud noises and stuff like that, mad cackles and whatever.
Hmm.
And then since then, I think I've calmed down a little bit, but I think I've found a nice happy medium to where I'm not going to blow out your speakers anymore, but I try and be fairly high energy. Yes, Fred the
Oh yeah.
Vampire. I
Oh
know
yeah.
what's going on. The utterly uninteresting tales of Fred the Vampire.
Yeah, I remember
Fred
you're
the
talking
Vampire.
about that. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a lot of people here to say hi. Chadi is here.
Hey, Chadia.
Hi, Anonymous, of course.
I'm reading. I'm finally reading I
Samuel here. How
Anonymous's
you
book
doing?
in the next couple of days.
Oh, the
Gerzel. I'm reading Gerzel.
Griswold. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. I'll be anxious to see what you think of it.
Both you and Nico really enjoyed it,
Mm-hmm.
and like we just finally uh, were able to connect, and so yeah. I believe NPS. I think he means NPCs. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, the title for Fred the Vampire Accountant's like the utterly uninteresting tales of Fred the Vampire Accountant, and then like the titles get significantly shorter from there.
Right.
But no, it's great stuff. Great stuff from Drew Hayes. But
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I'm hearing a lot of reviews for like cheeky vampire stuff, like Michael Vaughn was doing the Varney the Vampire stuff, like the old like it's an old classic series,
okay,
Varney the Vampire, and then you talked about Fred the Vampire Accountant and stuff. So I like me some vampires. So
it's definitely interesting because the way Fred the Vampire Accountant works is it takes the concept of what happens when you take an accountant and you turn him into a vampire, and you would expect him to do vampire things, but he just wants to be an accountant. Like he just wants to keep on doing what he was already doing.
right,
And so it kind of takes it a step further where like usually if you sire a vampire, then your sire or the person who turned you would then train you in the ways of being a vampire. Well, it just so happens that Fred's vampire sire just turned him and then took off because he expected this dorky, like beaten down guy to all of a sudden get super strength and to kind of seek revenge, and that didn't happen. And so, like, Fred tried a couple times to be a vampire, didn't work out for him. So he
Yeah.
just blacked out his windows and started working from home and continued on doing accounting work. And then through there, that you form this great found family. You get some interesting kind of cheeky evolution of the character, and you realize that there is a whole supernatural world out there in this version of reality. It's just kind of hidden. Like even the government knows, like because one of the cool things about it is parahumans or supernatural beings have their own tax codes.
Yeah.
Just depending on how long lived they are or things of that nature. And so like he's got to learn superhuman or parahuman tax codes as well as regular tax codes. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's excellent. That's really cool. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out. It sounds up my alley.
What's cracking, dude? That's kind of an inside joke. When I was boxing up my books, I believe Theo said, "What's cracking?" And I took it out on Nico because Nico was visiting, and I was like, "No, you say what's crack-a-lackin'," and it's just this whole thing. Bo's gotten involved. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you and Nico live fairly close together. Must be. You've seen each other a couple of times.
I believe. Let's see. So Nico came out once, twice. So Nico's been to my state 3 times, and then we met once in Chicago. So we're actually about 7 to 8 hours driving apart. But Nico doesn't mind driving long distances, and apparently he seems to like me. And so he'll, it's hard to travel when you've got 2 young kids, and it's also hard to like either take them with you or leave them with your spouse, just because somebody, like I'm out there having a good time and somebody's back home pulling their hair out.
Right. And then you hear about it later.
Yeah, it's like, I'm glad you had a good time, but I hate you.
Right.
There's Nico.
Oh, we got 2 of them on here. There
Nico, why did you reply with a non-Nico's book reviews account? Nico Salazzo is Nick, or I should say Nicolo Salazzo.
Okay. All righty. Cool. I was wondering about that. I was wondering if that was him, but I wasn't sure because then he replied with his main channel one. So
yeah.
And I guess I like Andrew.
He does, in fact, kind of like me.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Oh, he was logged into
the why are you yelling at me? Oh, geez. I was just yelling at I wasn't yelling at Nico, but I had to I'm in a group chat with him and his wife where I just act ridiculous all the time. And I was texting him about because I use Voxer a lot with Nico.
Oh yeah.
And so he wasn't responding to my Lost Metal chat, so I hopped into the text message and I started sending stuff about Lost Metal and then text messages, and his wife was just incredibly confused. She's like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh, that's hilarious. I have Voxer too. We'll have to link up there sometime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I probably open up Voxer 20, 30 times a day. I'm always connected on social media unless I'm doing a social engagement.
Yeah.
So try and I like the community aspect of BookTube.
Yeah.
So I like being engaged.
Oh, same here.
People I talked with Leslie a lot, Joanna a fair bit, Sarah Reed's a fair bit, Nico pretty much constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I just like voice chat over texting.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like that too. I also use Marco Polo. I have a couple of friends on Marco Polo that I'm constantly video texting back and forth. Yeah.
I feel like I knew about Marco Polo and I have since forgotten about it.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's like it's exactly like texting except with video. So yeah, you just send a video message back and forth to people, and it's kind of cool. I like it.
Yeah. Theo doesn't know about Voxer. You got to get Alan's on Voxer, Joanna's on Voxer, Sarah Reed's is on Voxer, Evie's on Voxer, I'm on Voxer. Stephanie from let's see, Miss Richards reads is on Voxer. Derry's on Voxer.
Oh, Derry's on
Let
Voxer.
me
That's
just,
cool.
yeah, Derry's on Voxer. Anitha Gade is on Voxer. I'm just gonna pull up Voxer and take a look. Who else is going on here? Lana from Laurel and Lullabies is on Voxer. Zara's on Voxer. Bookish Drummer. Jessie the Bookish Mom. Abby Salter. Pete, Ponderings of Pete. I've got Joanna Souza on here. Yeah, so there's just a ton of booktubers on Voxer.
Yeah, Angie the Bookaholic is on there too.
Yes, Angela. I've talked to Angela on Voxer.
Yeah,
There's so many of us within our corner that just use Voxer.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yes, Theo. It's
Okay,
awesome.
nice to see you.
It's also great for buddy reading because then like it's great because with a text message, like a Discord message, you either have to block it out and like risk somebody, but this is like one-on-one. And basically, at the start of your message, you can be like, "Hey, if you haven't gotten to this chapter, don't listen to this. Come back and listen to it."
Right.
Give them like the spoilers incoming warning verbally, and then you can just start ranting with full emotion and full context. And because something gets lost on Discord sometimes, where it's you either have to like use punctuation, all caps, things of that nature, and it's just through voice you can fully emote.
Yeah, that's very true. I feel the same way. I'm actually buddy reading with Angie right now on Mask of Mirrors, and we're using Voxer for that. So,
Okay, that's M.A. Carrick.
yeah, yep, M.A. Carrick. Yeah, it's my first time. I mean, I keep hearing about it. I've just never read it before, and so she
It's not
was.
something I'll be able to get to in the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
I
I get. There's so many books, and so little time. The old
well,
adage.
it's gotten to the point where like my last video I did an unhaul,
Yeah.
and I felt terrible, but like at the same time, like I constantly stop and I tease Nico about this relentlessly. I've told Nico if I ever make it out to his house, we're doing an unhaul video where
Right.
like I will be sit there constantly challenging him because I think something as a book collector is you live in constant hope
Yeah.
that maybe you'll get to it. And so I should just go ahead and pick up this book now. And then like you see like books 2 and 3 on sale and you're like, oh, well, I've got book 1. I might as well just complete the set so that, and then like you don't like book 1 and then you've got to get rid of all the books. And,
Right.
not every book fits every reader and things of that nature. And so sometimes I'll like just sit there and look at my shelves and be like, okay, like I've walked by that book 40 times and I haven't even glanced at it. Am I interested in it still? And at that point, it's like, no, I might as well declutter and make room for something that I'm more excited for.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's an app. Yep. Voxer.
Is it XR or XXR?
Maybe
No,
it
it's
is.
one X. It's one X. You're right.
Oh, okay.
VOXER.
Got it.
Changing lives. Yeah, we've had full on conversations. So about me coming out and just wrecking his collection, because a lot of the times he's like, and I was on Book Outlet, and I decided to buy this book just so I could get free shipping, and I'm like, Nico, it's $5, okay? Like, stop buying 3 books that you're
Right.
never going to read to get free shipping. And that's right, Nico. I'm calling you out here live on Chaz's channel.
That's why that's why I love. I think I'm pretty sure it's your Discord. You have that Bookaholics Anonymous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that started out with a joke. Oh, how did that joke start? I remember Nico did a book haul one time, and I'm just sitting here talking to Nico. And it started out with this little skit of like him saying like, "Hi, I'm Nico, and it's been like X amount of days since I bought books. I'm
yeah.
like a bookaholic," and then like he jumps into the book haul or something like that. I love you, Nico. My heart. Oh, geez. But yeah, no, there's a lot of old, just kind of inside jokes that ended up either getting turned into channels. We have one user by the name of CK the Brain, and I accidentally autocorrected one time and called her Creaky, and
Yeah.
she thought that was funny, and so she changed her username only in our Discord to be Creaky.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
It's a bunch of funny little things. I don't know. I love the Wizard Duo Discord. I love hanging out there. I don't always respond to every single channel
Yeah.
just because I can't anymore. Because I'm like, I try still at this point in time to reply to all my YouTube comments. Unless there's one thing about the YouTube Studio that I just can't figure out, and it's when it's held a comment for review. I'll
Yeah.
go in there, I'll approve those comments, and then
Yeah.
they just vanish.
Right?
And like, so it doesn't transfer over for me to then reply to it because like I see the comment, I'm like, yeah, this is totally from uh like one user, Angela Holmes, gets held for review constantly.
Wow.
And I'm just like, she's a frequent commenter on my channel. And the stuff that gets held for review just is asinine. Like there's no reason for YouTube to be restricting her comments. So I'll go
Mhm.
in and I'll approve them. I still haven't figured out like why. I'll go in and I'll approve it, and then I'll go over to my unanswered uh, comments, and it's just empty because apparently me approving it accounts as a reply. And then I'm not gonna go hunt for the comment. But if I
Right.
see that I have unanswered comments, I go in and I try at least once or twice a week. I've been bad about it sometimes, and I've gone 3 weeks, but like I'll go through and I'll make sure to reply to everybody. That's why a lot of people get replies from me
Yeah.
2, 3 weeks after the fact, is because I go in and I clear out that entire thing in the studio.
Yeah, I've found some comments in there on my channel after a month, and I'm like, because I forget to check it. So when I check it, I'll have like a couple, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. So I usually reply to the comment first and then approve it, and then uh, that way I've at least replied, and they know I care, and then
I might have to do that. I never saw the ability to reply and then approve, so I'll have to double check because like I feel terrible when I approve something and then it's just gone.
oh yeah, I totally do too. Yeah. Um, Kay can't keep up. I can't either. Uh, I'm really bad about Discord. I need to be better, but like, yeah.
I am in. So there was a time I was pushing, I think 40 servers, and I'm getting back up there again. And I think that's just because of all the Twitter madness that's going on right now.
Hmm.
Because I've made so many friends over on Twitter, everybody's now sharing their Discords. They're like, "Hey, we want to stay connected," and so I'm like jumping into a whole bunch of new servers because I can't do Mastodon. I don't know if you've looked at Mastodon. It like you open it up and it's immediately confusing.
I looked into it and it didn't seem like it was for me because I recently left Twitter and
Yeah, I saw your.
I know they that a lot of people were recommending Mastodon as an alternative, and I'm like, I already have Discord, and this looks about the same and not quite as good. So
Yeah, and plus I've still got Instagram. I love author interaction that I can have on Twitter.
yeah.
I've met a lot of great people. I've met great authors both on Twitter, Discord, and Instagram.
Hmm.
I may just have to start ramping up. I still can't figure out like how to do stories and reels and stuff like that on Instagram. I'm terrible at that kind of stuff. Like once I figure out something that I like, I just want to use the one thing. I don't
I'm the
want to
same
learn
way.
5 systems. I don't know.
Yeah, I've done a couple of reels, but I haven't really figured out my groove with it yet. I think I've got stories down for the most part. I recently, just a couple of months ago, figured out how to tag people in stories. That
Oh
so
wow.
and then yeah, I'm a little late to the game on Bookstagram, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. I don't know. Bookstagram just confuses me. Like they're like, "Hey, here's this template. You download the template, you put stuff on it, then you put it back onto Instagram, then you tag people." I'm like, I'm not. I'm a very straightforward kind of guy. Like,
Yeah,
make it so that I can do the thing on the app, or just don't make me do it.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Uh, one or two comments get held off, and yeah, that's pretty common. Okay, thanks, Kay. Have a good day.
Okay.
See ya. Some about to start looking for beta readers. I need to connect with some other writer friends. Yep, I feel that. Yeah, it's hard to keep up with all the social medias for
Yeah.
sure. Like one of the reason I left Twitter was not because of the new management. The reason I left Twitter was because I didn't do enough with it, and according to my algorithm, like 3% of my views came from Twitter. And I guess 3% can be a lot, but I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to figure out how to use Reddit or do
Hmm.
something like that. And it's funny because I come from a coding background and my brain just doesn't want to do the work anymore.
I don't blame
Um,
you.
Subreddits and like each different Reddit has its own rules with its own moderators. Like you can't share like self promote things or stuff like that. But like, it's interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know. I like Discord. I like YouTube. And that's really like I like Twitter once I figured out how to use Twitter because
Yeah.
I just got on Twitter like last year or something like that.
That's
It
cool.
it's a recent development, but I mean Twitter is very easy to use. Now, granted, there's all kinds of people on Twitter, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. If you kind of stick to one corner of Twitter, just like stick to the books, stick to the authors, stick to reviewers, then it can be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I can appreciate that. I'm with you on Reddit. Like our fantasy, the big one, is incredibly hard to get involved with. Like, yeah, I tried on there for a little bit back in the day, and I'm just like, you know what, this is ridiculous. So I got off. But I mean, I still have my account, but I don't use it much. Um,
I still occasionally share videos on Reddit, but there's like a specific like r/booktube
oh yeah,
one
yeah,
where
I'm in that one.
you
Yeah,
can
that's cool.
upload, and then book talk's very big, and I don't know, like I it's funny that the callback to I'm very high energy, but at the same time, like I've got a pocket of high energy, and I need to choose where I spend that, and if it's either going to be in my videos on YouTube, where I've gotten my start, and that's where I do my thing, or I've got to go to TikTok, and I just something about the name TikTok just doesn't. Maybe I'm reaching that age where certain things are like get off my lawn.
Right.
Like I'm just like I don't want to do it, and so I've kind of stayed back off of it. I'm like, you know what? I'm about to turn 33. I don't need to be doing that.
Right. I hear you. I just turned 47, and I'm definitely at that age where I'm like, I just don't need that one more thing.
Yeah, it's I love the channel. It's the best hobby I've ever had. I love the interaction. I love the community. I love all
Yeah.
that. The social media associated with like getting out there and doing all of that is it can be a bit daunting.
Yeah, that's for sure. Twitter has writers lists. Oh, okay. That's kind of cool. That's definitely helpful. Yeah.
What is a writer's lift?
I guess like you have a way to up promote yourself if you're a
Oh,
writer.
okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it anyway.
I do YouTube shorts. I usually do 2 to 3 YouTube shorts a week.
Yeah,
That takes 5 minutes
I
to do
need
a
to do
really
more of
bad
that.
YouTube short. Like I don't put captions on it. I don't like, try and figure out the algorithm. I just have an idea pop into my head. I do it real quick. I throw it up there and just to kind of drive some engagement.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm thinking about I've just been I YouTube Shorts is seems to be best utilized for evergreen content. So it's kind of like, if I'm going to make an announcement about an upcoming video, I don't feel like that's really going to do too well in the YouTube Shorts algorithm. Maybe it will, I don't know. But for um, maybe for an author interview, something like that would do
Yeah.
well with that. But other than that, stuff like uh, dictionary, like, weird and unusual words that you come across in your reading, I think would make good fodder for YouTube shorts. So I know
Like,
J.R. Carroll
like
does
created
that.
language or obscure English words, things of that nature.
Yeah. J.R. Carroll does that on his, and he seems to do quite well with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are very much like I know a lot of the channels. You're even more widespread than I am. Just like all the up and comers and everything like that. Like I try, but at certain point, like I'm burnt out at certain things. Like I try and look for YouTube newbie tags, and I try and do buddy reads and stuff like that. But I mean, lately it's just I'm so into reading the books that I have, so I can keep up on this massive TBR that is I'm like carrying around on my shoulders. Because even though I got rid of a bunch of books, I mean, my TBR didn't really suffer that much. Like it was like, hey, yeah, you got rid of about 40 series and 100 books, and you've still got like 600 books and 70 series. So it's like, did I make some progress?
Yeah. Keeping up with all the channels is a lot of work, or it can be. Yeah. And
I'm still subscribed to like 200 different channels.
oh yeah, I'm subscribed to a bunch myself, including this awesome channel right here,
Nikki, the obsessive
Nikki Hawks.
obsessive bookseller. Nikki's awesome. She does these little road trip tours. Well, she'll go around to a bunch of bookstores and she'll be like, "Hey, I have this one edition, and it's the book club, and I need the standard hardcover, and I found it at a good price." And she'll snag it, and
Hmm.
then like, I appreciate that obsessiveness about somebody's collection.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. If you really love a book series, you want some nice matching editions, even that flow, and so you go on the hunt for them. Yeah. Totally get it.
It's,
Um,
a lot of them are like out of print and hard to find, and it's just the. I remember when I first collected Malazan. It was like a 3 month fight just to get books 1 through 9 in a matching trade paperback.
yeah.
It was ridiculous. I think I bought Memories of Ice 3 or 4 times, and they only sent me the correct book on the last try. They kept sending me the mass market paperback when I bought a trade paperback.
Hmm.
It was so frustrating.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember you talking about that. That is incredibly frustrating. Book club edition. The bane of your collection. Nice.
I don't like book club editions. A, they're smaller, and
Yeah.
B, like they're just not as robustly made.
Yeah.
They're made to be read a couple times. They're made to be read with a book club, and they're not really meant to hold up past that first, second, or third read. Because I mean, I had a book club edition of Ted Williams Otherland that I read like literally that I had to duct tape the boards back onto the spine just because they kept falling off after my like fourth read of that book.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 You got to find ones. If you're going to have them in your collection, you want them to hold up and be
Mhm.
sturdy over time. And um, yeah, you do put a lot of thought into your hauling and unhauling for sure. That's one reason I love your videos so much too. So yeah, you're a kindred spirit with Nikki and with me. I haven't done an unhaul video, although I do unhaul books.
Yeah.
If I read a book and I'm like, oh, I really like that, but I think it's not like a top tier for me, I'll just get it on ebook and unhaul the physical. Um,
Yeah.
and like a lot of self-pub books are on Kindle Unlimited, and you mentioned Kindle Unlimited in your last haul or unhaul, sorry. And Kindle Unlimited is great for a lot of those books, and
Yeah, it really is. The only so one of the things I've got to kind of order my thoughts here to
sure.
fully correctly talk about it. But so I might jump back and forth a little bit.
Hmm.
Uh, one of the things I love about owning physical books is after you've read the book, you've got a physical reminder on your shelf of that story. So like
Mm-hmm.
literally, even if it's just your eyes track across the spine for a second, you can have that quick thought of, oh, I loved that story.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with ebook and Kindle Unlimited is I have filters set on my Kindle. So basically, I don't see my entire library all the time. And Kindle Unlimited books, you're also limited to just 10 e-copies that you're allowed to borrow at any given time, and you've got to return it.
Right.
Which, granted, every time you read that book, the author gets paid on Kindle Unlimited, which is something that's fantastic. I love
Oh
that.
yeah, I
I love
love it too.
Unlimited. But at the same time, like it's as a channel and a content creator, it can be difficult to remember to recommend a story. So it's like, say you're doing a tag, and like real quickly, like there's an ebook that you read that would fit a prompt really well, that would promote a book very well. It may
Mm-hmm.
slip my mind if I don't have a physical representation of it in front of me to just quickly go, you know what, that book is perfect. I've had this issue with Sword of Kaigen multiple times because I read Sword of Kaigen in 2019 through Kindle Unlimited. That was my first time having the Kindle Unlimited subscription.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I returned it. And so whenever like something's like a great female protagonist or something like that, I'll turn around and I'll look at my physical collection before I just sit there and brainstorm and just overlook Sword of Kaigen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where like, yes, Kindle Unlimited is very great. But at the same time, like in terms of being a book promoter, um, it's nice to have that physical copy. Which I mean, I'm rectifying this. I backed the Sword of Kaigen Kickstarter, so I'm going to have a physical representation now on my shelf. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. It's just when it comes to hauling and unhauling, I'm very good at recognizing what I'm going to enjoy and what I'm not going to enjoy. And that's not me tooting my own horn. I've literally, in fact, speaking of Nico, we did Brian McClellan's To Ride something Lightning. It was his latest book. Anyway, we both had the ebook, or he may have had like the physical copy. I read the prologue and immediately DNF'd it, and I told Nico like 4 or 5 reasons why I had DNF'd it. And I was like, this book's not for me. I don't agree with this decision. This doesn't make sense. There's a logical loophole here.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I had deconstructed the prologue already and said, this is sloppy. This wasn't ready to be put out, at least in my opinion. And so I decided to put it down. Nico pushed through the book, hated the entire thing. Hated the entire thing. And then he comes back later and says, hey, while I may not have agreed with your initial assessment of the prologue, I think you judged too quick. I also thought you made the right call.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm very good at making those snap decisions on, I can tell, because typically books are very consistent when, I'm not saying an author won't get better, but single entity entries as themselves, they're fairly consistent in terms of quality, prose, things of that nature. So if you've got a bad prologue, then you can infer that if the prologue was this bad, do you really want to waste 300 to 400 pages hoping that a book is going to get better just for? So I just stopped at DNF and Ion Hall.
Yeah, that's good that you've gotten to where you can pinpoint that right at the beginning. That's awesome. Um,
I'm very, again, I know what I'm going to enjoy. I know what themes I'm going to find really cool. And not every, like, don't get me wrong, a book can also tank in quality, just in terms of content, though, not in terms of like style and things of that nature.
mhm.
So it's, a lot of people love Daniel T. Jackson's Illborn. And I thought that book had a fantastic, fantastic prologue, but I thought it was incredibly overlong, 700 pages. And the entire 700 pages felt like an introduction to a larger series. So the book
Mhm.
itself felt like a prologue to the series. So it was a prologue within a prologue.
Huh. Oh wow. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just I don't know. Now I'm just ranting and rambling.
It's all good, man. Chadi had a good question here. What do you guys do with unhauled books?
I have a half price books.
Hmm.
So I'll take it there. I'll get store credit. Not a lot of store credit, But you guys have you live in the same area as Elliot Brooks, right?
Yeah, and so yeah, that's I will either give some to friends or I'll take it to one of the three bookstores. We have Half Price here as well, but we also have two really good independent bookstores that
There's one that I think Elliot Books constantly talks about.
Bookman's.
Yeah, Bookmans. There we go.
Yeah.
Bookmans.
Yeah, Boatman's is awesome. Yeah. She and I and Sean have all hung out together at Boatman's several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything like that here. Yeah, me and Nico are agreeing on Illborn, which a lot of people love Illborn. So this is not anything me saying Illborn is a bad book. It's just me saying not every book is consistent. So a lot of people love Illborn, and that's great for them. It's just not for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
was very on the fence with that one. So
700 pages is a long ask with that book.
oh,
We've got a bookstore here, and I think it's either regional or national, but they're not as pervasive. Called Second and Charles, and my
okay.
closest Second and Charles is like 2 hours away,
Oh
which
my.
is incredibly annoying because I love Second and Charles. They're the perfect blend of used and new in one location with all the knickknacks of Barnes and Noble. It's awesome.
Mhm. Wow.
But again, like I'm not going to drive 2 hours just to go. So I usually take my books. Occasionally, if it's a special edition, like my Discworlds,
Hmm.
um, the only Discworlds I now own on hardcover are the City Watch. City Watch is my baby.
Right, I saw that.
Collection and Witches did not work for me, and so I sent those to Nico. Nico bought those off of me.
Yeah.
So with special editions, I'll usually go either to a friend I know who is collecting those books, or when I was unhauling Malazan, I think I sent a few to Joanna. I sent book 3 to Memories of Ice to Evie, and then I think I just generally sold the rest. Or no, I sent a few to Nico. So I spread Malazan. I was like, hey, you need these 3 to complete your collection. I have those 3. Here you go. Oh, you only need the 3rd book. Here you go. Oh, you need 6 and 7. Here you go.
Right.
Um, so if it's like rare books and stuff that's in demand and very like popular on BookTube, then when I'm getting rid of my books, I will seek people to have those. If it's
Yeah.
just something general, then I will typically just take those half price books.
Ah, that's awesome. I love that. It's a good way to get it into the hands of people that you know want it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's perfect. Looks like Nikki does the same thing. Uh, sends hers to friends. Oh yeah, Pango. I've been hearing about Pango lately.
Yeah.
I
I
have,
think Leslie is also setting up a Pango Books.
yeah. I downloaded the app, but I haven't done much with it yet. I need to look more at that.
I
Epic
bought
is
a couple.
here.
What's up, Epic? I bought a couple Gemmel books, David Gemmel books. I bought a couple David Gemmel books off of one of my patrons, Pango
Mhm.
Books. So
Yeah,
he had the two Drenai books that I needed, and so I went and just clicked purchase.
okay.
So
Very cool.
yeah, and then
Yeah. Nico did a trial for Kindle Unlimited. Okay, yeah. I'm behind on all the Kindle books I bought too. I'm sorry, Andrew. I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh no, it's fine. Oh hey, Jimmy's here. What's up, Jimmy? Mr. Jimmy
Oh,
Nuts
the Fantasy
himself.
Network. I just recently watched his video with Brian Lee Durfee. That was amazing.
Was
Uh,
it? I ended up missing. That was Chatting with Nuts 41.
yeah, I think
I saw
so.
the
Yeah,
thumbnail. I'm planning
his
on going
most
and
recent one,
watching.
whatever it was.
It was. I think it was. Oh God, it's been a couple days. It's been a whirlwind couple of days. But no, it's been Jimmy's fantastic when it comes to just long form content.
Oh,
Uh,
totally. Yeah.
yeah, he just recently hit 10,000 subscribers. So congrats, Jimmy. I get to say it on
Woo!
stream.
Way to go,
Well done,
Jimmy.
sir.
Well deserved, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I've heard Brian Lee Durfee is an amazing guy. I need to go back and reread. Um, Oh God, I'm brain farting. What's the name of his series again? No.
Yeah,
Lonesome Crown, Blackest Heart, and Five Warrior Angels.
yeah, the Five Warrior Angels. Yeah,
That oh no, I think the series is called Five Warrior Angels.
yeah, it is. Yeah, Forgetting Moon is the first
Forgetting
one.
Moon. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Mhm.
Okay, so I did it. But I recently, when I first read the series, I did it on audio, and I did not have a good experience with the audio. And it wasn't until later that I realized it's the specific narrator that I have a very big issue with. Anything that narrator is a top tier narrator. Don't get me wrong. Tim Gerald Reynolds is very beloved narrator. It's just for some reason when he is narrating a book, I'm listening to what he's saying and I'm not immersing it into the story. And so I think what I'm wanting to do is with Brian Lee Durfee's books, I'm wanting to go back and read those physically because I feel like the audio experience hurt my experience of reading those books. So that is something that now that Lonesome Crown is, I believe it's either dropped already or it's coming out at the end of this month.
Mhm.
So happy book birthday to Lonesome Crown and Brian Lee Durfee. Which I mean, talk about a man who's going through so much right now. He's having medical issues with his own.
Right. Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a
I follow
very
his booktube channel, which is amazing, by the
yeah.
way. And
It,
yeah,
it
I'm trying.
takes so much courage to be that candid on camera.
Oh
Like
yeah,
Brian is probably one of the bravest individuals. I think he's just so genuine.
he is.
Um,
Yeah, Jimmy was just saying, very kind and
yeah,
bright guy. He really is.
absolutely. It was funny. I think Mike over at Mike's Book Reviews had him on for Saturday Night Nights or something like that. And
Mhm.
Brian was in his car. Like he was just live, like he jumped in and out of the stream like 4 or 5 times, popping up in different locations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it was just an absolute riot. Um, I think one of my favorite Brian Lee Durfee videos. It's as a book lover, it's horrifying. But it was when he took his own book and he's like, people who don't treat their books right are monsters. And then he like proceeds to like smear chocolate in peanut butter and like rip his book in half. And it's just like,
Right. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. He's just a great guy, and he is really funny. And I
He's
I
incredibly
hope.
talented because like I recently got to see some of his artwork because
Mhm.
he
Oh
did
wow,
kind
I
of like a
know.
home studio thing.
I
And
saw
he's got
that.
like his own work hanging on his wall. And it's
Mhm.
just he's incredibly gifted.
Yeah, he really is. And it was really sad too, because he said he just doesn't have the sight for it now to be able to do that art anymore, and that's got to be incredibly frustrating. And
Yeah.
when it's something that you've loved for all these years and then not to be able to do it. And yeah, he's got a lot of talent. I mean, and he doesn't edit his videos,
Oh
which
no,
and
he's
and
a
that
single
that
one
makes
take
me
kind of
even
guy.
more impressed, because for unedited videos, his videos are fantastic. So,
He reads fast.
yep.
He's candid on camera. I don't know. There's so much positive stuff to say about Brian Lee Durfee,
Yeah.
and because he's such an awesome guy, like I want to retry that story, even though it didn't work for me the first time. I want to give it
Mhm.
another go, just because I know I don't vibe with the narrator, and so even if I only give it 3 or 4 stars, that's still a better experience than I had the first time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I still need to read the books. They're on my list. In fact, I'm probably going to at least read The Forgetting Moon next year.
Okay.
Um, yeah, they're such chunkers, and I'm just like, oh man, I don't know, but I want to at least give him a shot and support him, because he's a really fantastic guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're big old thick books, but I love big books. So
Oh yeah, I do too. I just have to be in a specific mood for them. Does your taste change during the year? That's a good question.
if that's a question directed at me, kind of, and not really. So I read science fiction, fantasy, and the occasional horror book. But I also read different subgenres within those kind of types of fiction. There we go.
Hmm.
And so, like, I'll read grimdark, I'll read dark fantasy, I'll read cultivation, I'll read all different types of fantasy. And really, I switch what subgenre I'm reading fairly regularly.
Hmm.
And in terms of seasons, like when it comes to October, I'll start reading a lot of Stephen King. I recently picked up Robert McCammon based off of Scott the Bald Booktuber's recommendation and Mike's as well. I'll read kind of during Christmas. I'll read uh, like I'm reading Nosferatu for the first time in December. I actually bought it last year, and then like by the time I got it physically in my hands, December was over, and because
Right.
it's quite literally a Christmas horror book, I refused to read it until this December.
Okay. Cool.
Um,
That's the Joe Hill one, right?
yeah, that's Stephen King's son.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I would say I reach for less fantasy during the darker portions of the year, but I'm still reading fantasy at the same time.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't really get seasonal with my reading either, but on occasion I'll pick a book that's for a specific season. Like I'll be reading A Christmas Carol for the very first time next month. I've never
Oh
read it.
wow.
I've seen so many adaptations, and it's one of my favorite stories. Um, hashtag A Christmas Carol with George C. Scott is the best one ever. But I never read the book, so
Listen, there is only one Christmas Carol for me, and that is the Muppets Christmas Carol.
well,
Okay.
that's a good one too. Yeah, yeah, that's a really good one as
I
well.
grew up on that one, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Muppet movies were always kind of hit or miss for me, but I did like that one for sure.
my two favorite movies, two of my favorite movies growing up, were of course Christmas Carol, the Muppets, and then Treasure Island.
Oh, I love Treasure Island, the
The
original one with what Robert.
I'm talking about the Muppets Treasure Island.
Oh, the Muppet Treasure. Oh, okay, got it. Well, that one's good too. And Tim Curry is amazing.
Yes.
Is a fantastic actor, and like sometimes I'll be telling people, did you like Tim Curry in Legend? And they're like, what? He's in Legend? I'm like, yeah, he was Darkness. I'm like, who? Or they're like, who? And I'm like, you don't know who Darkness is? Have you ever watched Legend, Andrew?
I don't think I have.
It's a really old school like 80s fantasy movie. Tom Cruise is in it. It's one of his first movies,
Really?
and Tim Curry plays the main villain, and he's like this big red skinned demon guy with these long black horns, and oh, it is amazing. It's cheesy, but it's amazing.
I mean, I don't mind a bit of cheese.
Yeah,
It's funny. I've really fallen off on TV and movies.
yeah,
So like with all the adaptations that have been happening, I'm not watching them.
yeah.
And if I am watching them, I'm watching maybe one or two of the first episodes, and then I think the last like sci-fi fantasy that I am current on is The Mandalorian,
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
and that was
Mandalorian is
season
great.
two, which was like last year.
Hmm.
Like I fell off on Witcher, I fell off on Wheel of Time, I fell off on Rings of Power. I didn't watch Kenobi, and I
Oh,
was so
good.
excited for Kenobi. I was excited for Picard.
Hmm.
I didn't watch that. I started watching Strange New Worlds, Star Trek, fell off
Hmm.
on that. Um, I just don't have the attention span like I used to. The way I used to kind of tackle my hobbies was I would do it seasonally or I would do it in a rotating schedule. So I would be very into reading. And then if I started getting a little tired of reading, I would switch to video games. And if I got too tired of video games, I'd start catching up on all my movies and my TV. And if I got too tired of that, then I'd just cycle back to reading and then just kind of do it that way. I really I can't play video games. Well, I choose not to play video games because I cherish my time with my kids. And video games is I've got to focus on what I'm doing. I can't be interrupted. And if I am interrupted, then now I've got to go and do this thing. And I would rather just spend that attention and that bandwidth on my children. So
Oh, I
I
totally
stopped
get
playing
that.
video games for a while.
Yeah. I think it's easier for me to watch all the shows because my kids are super nerdy like I am, and they're, my daughter's 17, my son's 18, and so we watch a lot of those shows together. Like my daughter and I watch Sandman together, and um,
That's
I
what I do want to check out. I do want to try Sandman because I've heard pretty much glowing reviews.
oh yeah, Sandman is amazing, and I'm a huge fan of the comics, so they did a really good job with it. But yeah, it's nice that my kids are older and can enjoy those with me, and that's how I get a lot of my TV shows and stuff in, is because I'm watching them with my kids, and they like a lot of the same stuff I do. So
I'm hoping I can get to that point, but right now my house is pretty much nonstop Blippi, Cocomelon, Go Dog Go. Let's see, what's another one? There's a YouTube channel called Miss Rachel that my daughter is very obsessed with right now, or just colors and numbers and learning and educational
mhm.
stuff. That as long as it's colorful and stuff like that. Like I've got a 10-minute YouTube video that my daughter watches every probably 5 times a day,
Wow,
and it's on colors and on counting, and she's obsessed with it.
that's
And
cool.
so it's interesting, but the TV is very much owned by a toddler right now. And if you try and watch anything else, it's ew, no, I don't want it. Colors, and she'll like shove the remote in your face, and like she's
Hmm.
like, "You change this channel. You change it now. I want to watch Curious George." And it's just like, okay, we'll watch Curious George. Like,
Oh, I love Curious George. That's a great one, and yeah,
I've got
at that
a
age they
Curious
control the
George that
TV.
my daughter sleeps with. And so like whenever I tuck her in, if I try and walk away without tucking in Curious George, she goes,
Yeah.
"Tuck it in George." And so then I got to come back and tuck in Curious George. So I've got to
Oh,
tuck
that's
her in,
cool.
and then we got to tuck in Curious George every night. So it's awesome.
That's so awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I remember that age, and there was a lot of that fun stuff going on too. So,
Hey, I'm not complaining. Like it's delightful. It's magical. I always wanted to be a parent. So I'm living my dream.
oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I always wanted to be a parent too, and so I'm so happy I had kids. My kids are my world, and it sounds like yours are as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
So that's fantastic.
No,
Um,
they're delightful and amazing.
yeah, fatherhood is a real it's an amazing adventure.
It's
So
I don't know if I'm gonna. It's an amazing adventure in sleep deprivation.
yes, yes, that's very true. Sleep
I
deprivation
run the
is
night
real.
shift just because my wife is usually just conked out, and so usually my daughter sleeps through the night just fine, but my son's room it literally shares a wall with our room. So if he starts crying, I'm up out of the bed and I'm taking care of him. It doesn't matter if it's 1, 3, 5 o'clock in the morning. As long as it wakes me up, I'll go take care of him.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. That's cool. Um, Josh had popped on earlier, and I forgot to say hi. So hi, Josh. Glad to see you. Treasure Island was my very favorite book when I was a kid. Yeah, Treasure Island is a great book. It really is.
I vaguely remember reading. I meant to comment that I think I read Christmas Carol back in high school. I think the majority of my Dickens was read back in high school. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think I read Robinson Crusoe. Um, I think when I was 10.
Hmm.
And then I read the Narnia books. Of course, read Harry Potter. I used to be a huge into Harry Potter, and then I just stopped.
Hmm.
Well before any of this controversy. Like the controversy had no reason for me stopping my Harry Potter interest. I think I just grew out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and it was the book 7 dropped, and I think I was constantly rereading those books, and then book 7 dropped, the story ended, and I just moved on.
Yeah.
It was one of those things of, okay, that's done, and I haven't reread it since. I have them still. I got Evie. Evie was unhauling them, and I picked up Evie's set, and they're sitting on my daughter's shelf. So I plan to do one more read, one or two more reads. I'll read them to my kids.
That's cool. Yeah, I read. I didn't read the series until book 7 had already been out for a while. It was my first time picking it up. I was in my 30s, and I picked it up and read it all in one summer and was just absolutely blown away. It's one of my favorite YA series, and I'm a happy Potterhead, and my kids love Harry Potter as well. So um,
Um,
and I like the Fantastic Beasts movies for the most part. I've been I've been fairly impressed with those as well. Not nearly as good as the original movies, but uh,
I have not
close
seen the
enough.
third one yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen the third one yet either. I still need to do that. But I like I definitely like what's his name?
The
Not
Newt
Laura.
Scamander actor?
Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh, Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mads Mikkelsen is absolutely fantastic. I will watch him in anything. I loved him in Casino Royale. I loved him in
Yes, I was
Hannibal.
about to mention James Bond.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
He's
And
awesome. James Bond.
if you haven't seen Hannibal, you're missing out. It is an absolutely brilliant show.
I can read. So it's funny. I can read horror just fine. It doesn't affect me at all.
Yeah.
Watching horror affects me. It's a
Okay.
different. It gets a different reaction out of me.
I can totally
And
appreciate.
also, like, I like my horror. If I'm gonna watch horror, I like suspense horror. I don't like body gore. I don't like any of that. So like the original Halloween movies are like mwah, chef's
Mhm.
kiss for me. Just because it's more suspense about Michael Myers being out there and you know what he's going to do, but he just
Mhm.
doesn't come in stabbing. He stalks his prey. He creeps you out. He watches you. He slowly moves closer and stuff like that. Like I love that.
Mhm.
Um, I think I got turned off of horror probably my teenage years because the body horror got really bad. Like there was once the Hostel movies started coming out and all of the Jigsaw and what were those movies called?
Oh yeah, the Saw franchise.
Yeah, the Saw franchise. There we go. Like
Yeah. I
that was
won't
all.
watch the Saw movies. Not for me.
The only stuff that I'm really excited to watch right now is the It Chapter 1 and 2. I wanted to watch that in Halloween, and every time
Mhm.
I was finally ready to watch it, it was either A, right before bed, which is a bad idea,
Mhm.
or B, my kids were still awake, or
Okay.
it was too early in the morning to deal with that kind of nonsense.
Right.
And so it is what it is. But I
I
really want to watch.
I've seen the new It movies. They're really good, and they're really not that scary, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny that right out of the gate they changed the books a little bit
Hmm.
just because of what they do with. Oh, hey, Derry. What they do with
Hi, Derry. Welcome, welcome. Geek on my sleeve. Hey, guys. Good to see you.
with Richie,
Yes, yes,
Richie
yes, yes.
Denbrough. That initial change
Hmm.
is very interesting. Yeah, no, video games can be. I used to spend one of my favorite video game franchises that has since died was Fable,
Oh, yeah. I've heard of
and
Fable.
in Fable 3, um, to get the good ending, there was like you had to be so rich
Hmm.
and like you had to have so much money in the kingdom's treasury. And I literally got that money by baking pies. Like I sat there for 8 hours one time just hitting a button to bake pies to build up the treasury because like if you do it so many times, like say you do it 10 times, it pays you a certain amount. And then after each subsequent success, you start making more and more money to the point where like it gets silly where it'll start giving you like 1,000 gold a pie.
Oh, wow.
It's just silly. It's silly.
Yeah.
And there's like various tiers of how much money you can make, and like based on the difficulty, I'd just sit there and make. I remember watching the Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl while baking pies in Fable 3.
Oh, wow.
Like I
Okay.
had, it's stupid. Uh, um,
Yeah, some of those games just like you could spend endless hours with them. Like that new RPG that came out from Software. I can't remember the
Elden
name
Ring.
of. Yeah, Elden Ring. I have it. I bought it, but it's like one of those where it's like so. I don't have the time to invest in it.
I have it. One of my patrons, Patrick, and one of my mods, he gifted me the game, and like I said, I don't have time to really invest in games, especially a From Software game, because I'm an old Dark Souls fan. Like I played Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. I don't have a PS5 and I didn't have a PS3, so I haven't played Demon Souls, but then I did play Bloodborne, and those are all From Software games. They're all
Right.
basically along the same lines of difficulty, and I want to play Elden Ring, but at the same time, I know if I invest in Elden Ring, like people are like, "Oh yeah, I put like 150 hours into the game," and I'm like, I don't have 150 hours. Not if I'm going to continue to do a BookTube channel.
Right. Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of work to put into it. Bloodborne was another one. I tried that out, and it was just like to do anything in the game, it would take me hours. I'm like, you know what? I don't have time for this right now.
I love that game. Bloodborne
Yeah,
is a really good game, but
I've heard that. Hi, Paramita. Good to see you. Um,
it can be fun to just sit back and play, like Mass Effect. Mass Effect is an amazing game.
mhm.
I don't know if you've
It
played
is.
Mass Effect.
I played Mass Effect. I started playing the trilogy once it moved over uh, to a free agent game when it finally came to PlayStation.
Okay.
I started playing it then, and it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was at a time where again I didn't have time to invest in it, but I liked what I saw of it. Yeah.
The I played probably. I think I started back in 2011. So I've played through all three games probably four times a piece. It got to the point where I completed Mass Effect 3. Like I met all the requirements to complete that storyline
Hmm.
halfway through at Mass Effect 3, and I was like, I've probably played this a little too much. Because I knew exactly the how to get the dialogue options that I needed to unlock certain things.
Hmm.
And so like they're like, oh, you can only get this option if you've done this, 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 and this, which then requires you to do this. I knew every step to get to the perfect optimum ending of the game. And I was like, you know what? Like I've completed this game. Like I've done everything I needed to do.
Yeah.
Derry is 100% correct. The 90s were ruled by Mist and Riven.
Yeah, Mist and Riven are amazing games. Absolutely agree. One of my favorites. Yeah.
I loved Mist and Riven growing up.
Hmm. She's also right about this. Psychological thrillers are where it's at. Yeah, that's where I love getting the creep from psychological like suspense versus like the actual body horror like we were talking about. So
I'm currently reading a review copy right now. I don't know why I just messed up my hair like that, but we'll do that live on camera. Um, and it's Zeroed Out by Jacob Markov.
Hmm.
This book is completely just people aren't paying attention to it, and it's an absolute shame because basically it's like a cyberpunk world where basically we're a post-apocalyptic world where humans have moved into domes, like basically 23 square miles domes, where life is controlled by AI.
Hmm.
And so like humans can go out in like synthetic robots and stuff like that. Like humanity ruined the world, but there are these six Omega cities, and like it's become this like cyberpunk kind of environment where people can like robotics, um, augmentations and things of that nature. People live in virtual reality, like drugs, brothels, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Then it does this psychological thing where like in order to join the enforcer force, there are different variations of virtual reality depending on which level you engage in. Depends on the damage your body can receive, and there's only
Okay.
one that is reserved for a specific event called the war. And the war is basically like if you want to get out of like the slums, zone zero, you can join up into the war and risk your life. So basically like anything that happens to you in virtual reality at level 4 is happening in real life. Like the bed. So if you die, you die. But if you survive and you beat the other cities, then like you can get accolades, augmentations, and like you can be rocketed to success and stuff. Well, there's a deeper mystery. There's like a serial killer pops up, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. It's awesome. I'm at 92%. Quite literally, I just got a little too sleepy last night, and I was like, I can't finish tonight.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's so good.
It
But
sounds like a cool game. What was the name of it again?
it's called Zeroed Out. It should
Zeroed
be
Out.
on Kindle Unlimited. It's on Kindle Unlimited.
Okay, cool.
So
Yeah.
it's about 400 pages, and it's just very well done.
That's cool. I haven't really gotten into the progression fantasy yet. I wanted to read Sufficiently Advanced Magic by Andrew Rowe.
Yeah, that's one that I'm not. I tried it, and that one just I don't think was for me.
Yeah, there's been a couple of others, but generally,
Iron Prince and Bastion are two that are on my radar.
Okay.
But Zeroed Out is not progression; it's just cyberpunk.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah. It sounded very gamified. That's why I thought it might be progression.
It's delivered and almost imagine. I'm gonna get in so much trouble for forgetting the name of this movie. Harrison Ford, Replicants.
Oh, yeah, Blade Runner.
Yes, Blade Runner. There we go. I was like, I know the keywords. I just can't remember the name of the movie.
Oh, that's it. We're done, Andrew. We're done. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So imagine more Blade Runner than anything else.
Okay, that's cool. I love Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049 as well. I'm a big Blade Runner fan, and the book was great too.
I haven't seen it yet.
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is a really good book.
That one was turned into Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is Blade Runner.
What's the one I'm thinking about that was Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie? Because that's another Philip K.
Yeah, it is. That was We Can Imagine It For You Wholesale, and that was turned into Total Recall.
Yeah, that okay. I got the two mixed.
Yeah, no worries. You're good. It's all good. A lot of his books have been adapted, so
they always change the name. So it's very difficult.
Yeah. Did you ever watch? There's a series on There's a series on Amazon Prime that I didn't hear many people talking about called Electric Dreams, and it's based off of Philip K. Dick's short stories. It's really, really good. I highly recommend it.
I just learned about Castle Rock.
Oh yeah, Castle Rock is awesome.
Is it?
Yeah, season 1 especially. Although Annie Wilkes, right? Yeah, she's in season 2, and she's brilliant. Yeah,
I'm not a Misery fan, so
yeah,
we'll see.
I haven't read Misery. I haven't seen the movie, but I like
the book.
In the show.
It was good. It for me, Misery is one of those ones. So my favorite Stephen King book is Evil Things.
Okay, yeah, I've seen a movie about it. I haven't read the book, but
the book is amazing. You'll either like the ending or you won't. A lot of people say that the ending isn't done very well. I liked the ending. Maybe that's just because I'm a fantasy fan and I like weird. But Misery was one of those ones where it was just like, I've heard it hyped for so long that I don't think it was able to meet the hype that I heard.
Okay.
And so I went in with too high of expectations. I was like, yeah, okay, the book is good. It's definitely good. It's not bad. It's just, I don't know. And I've heard Kathy Bates, like Derry is saying.
I've heard she's really good. She's a great actor. I mean, just fantastic. So I do want to see it someday, and I'm sure I will, because Misery is my daughter's favorite King book. So, so I'm sure I'll eventually end up watching the movie. I think my daughter's already seen the movie. I might be wrong, but yeah.
My first King read was it wasn't my first, but my first one that I read all the way through was The Shining.
Okay. I have not read that one yet.
I love The Shining.
My first King read actually was The Gunslinger. That was my first experience with
Okay.
King.
Very different than his other work.
Oh yeah. I mean, the whole Dark Tower series is great, but it's mind bending how wild.
I like bits and pieces of the Dark Tower. I'm I think I give book one about 3.5 stars. I give Drawing of the Three 5 stars. After Drawing of the Three is Wastelands. I think I gave Wastelands 4.5 out of 4.5 5 stars. I really enjoy Wastelands.
Yeah.
Wizard and Glass I gave 2 stars to.
Oh wow. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because that was my favorite, one of my favorites of the series. Yeah.
So I did it on audio, and the
Okay.
creep factor on audio goes from here to like here, just
Oh.
because certain things that certain characters do are incredibly gross.
Mm-hmm.
And so to hear that in your ear, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
And it's not
I
like horror
appreciate
or
that.
anything, it's just nasty. And to me, like, don't get me wrong, I loved the quartet that we get in Wizard and Glass. I loved the love story aspect that we get between Roland and his love interest. So I loved the Western vibe of it. Like, I loved all of these things. And it on top of that is just this layer of curdled milk that is this unnecessary perviness. Like, it was just pervy. And ooh, Ursty's here. And
Hey Ursi, welcome, welcome. Glad to see you. Oh, you're not late. You're just tuning in. It's all good.
late is relative.
Right, right, exactly. It's yeah.
And then it's funny because a lot of people give Wolves of the Kala a lower rating. I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars. I really enjoyed Wolves of the Kala. Everyone's like, oh, it's super boring, but it like leans heavier into that Western with those little bit of sci-fi vibes. Really
Mhm.
enjoyed that. And then I really enjoyed Song of Susanna. And then Dark Tower was a 3-star read.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
So I'm just all over the place.
My favorite Dark Tower book is Salem's Lot. Sorry, I'm kidding. But Salem's
I
Lot is my
became
favorite book.
okay. I can see that. Salem's
Yeah.
Lot's very good.
Yeah. I
And
really,
then
really enjoy
did
it.
you read Insomnia as part as your Dark Tower read?
I didn't. And I haven't read The Stand yet either. And I know I need to read both of those. I do want to read Insomnia and The Stand.
So Insomnia is much more relevant
Okay.
to Dark Tower. At least Dark Tower 7. Like there are certain like Insomnia is it might as well be a Dark Tower book set in Mary Maine.
Okay.
It takes place after the events of It, which I mean, it kind of has some references, but not really. It doesn't directly. So the Stand kind of references a couple scenes within the Wastelands.
Yeah. Yeah. I caught those because I know the general Stand story. Like I've seen, I
Knowing
saw
the
the
general
90s
Stand story
TV
is
movie
really
and
all
stuff.
you need. That's really all you need. You don't have to sit there and read a 1,000-page book just to inform a little
Right.
bit more of what's gone on. If you know it's a post-apocalyptic book and that the apocalypse has happened, they give you the rest of the information in Wasteland because they pick up a
Right.
newspaper and they read it.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and then there is a similar form of villain from it that shows up within the Dark
Right.
Tower.
Yep.
But there's actual characters from Insomnia who show up, and the reason that given in Insomnia is this person has something that they need to accomplish out in the wider world, and they must be protected. And the thing that
Okay.
they do then happens in the Dark Tower. So
Okay. That's good to
it's
know.
a direct correlation from Insomnia to Dark Tower.
Mm-hmm. That's
Plus,
very
it's just a
cool.
darn good story. It's weird, but it's good.
For sure. Yeah. Dark Tower was Ursi's number one. Wow. That's cool. Yeah. I cried too. I did. I'm a crier. If I find a book that moves me, I'm a crier. And that one did.
You don't have to read Insomnia. Just certain things that happen in Dark Tower 7 will make more sense.
Mhm.
Hello.
Good to see you. Ah, welcome,
Um,
welcome.
but like it's just certain things that happen at the end of the book will make more sense than what it does without without that point of reference, I would say.
Okay. No, that's very cool. That's good to know. I do have it on my list. Eventually I'll get to it. This is interesting. I noticed this comment from Josh. The design manager for Fable is now a full-time game board game reviewer.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me that he wouldn't touch Fable or video games anymore. What happened with Fable was just ridiculous.
Okay. I didn't hear any controversy about it. So,
It wasn't controversial or anything, but basically, like there's a whole scrapped game. Like they made us wait 5 years, and then like the book was not the book, the game was supposed to come out. It was either going to be called Fable Legends or something like that. It was going to be set prior to the start of Fable One, in the Age of Legends and stuff like that. And it was supposed to be like drop in co-op and things of that nature. They've been developing it for years. Apparently, it was a hot just dumpster fire,
wow.
and like Microsoft just pulled the plug and closed down the studio.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
was
That really sucks.
They just kept sinking money into a bad product and realized the product wasn't going to work.
Hmm.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Ursi's trying to get me. Oh God.
Question for Andrew. Which books brought you to tears? Oh, that's a
Which
good one.
books brought me to tears? Mentioned earlier, Sword of Kaigen has some very heavy hitting moments. I'm not a huge crier when it comes to books. I can be gotten my feels, uh, but usually I will be brought to the edge of tears, which that kind of feeling where you start welling up a little bit. But
Hmm.
actual tears falling isn't really my thing. I'm a big crier. That's why I always have difficulty with this question. I'm gonna go with Kaigen. Kaigen has some moments where I was left absolutely slack jawed, and then that's going to be my answer unless something else randomly pops up in my head.
Yeah, that makes sense. I tend to be I tend to have a tissue box handy because, like, man, I tell you what, to this day, the Scholar's Tale in Hyperion kills me. Like, I mean, it's great, but I was just like crying through half of that story just because of his daughter and stuff like that. And
I haven't read it yet. I own the whole
oh,
series.
I thought
Fable,
you read Hyperion. Okay, all right, got it. So
no,
I'm
don't.
sorry. I thought you had said you read Hyperion. Well, I won't say anymore. And it wasn't really a spoiler. You hear people talk about the Scholar's Tale and his daughter, but you will still get the full experience once you read it. It's
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So
Um,
um,
Another one would probably be most of the Fitz books in Realm of the
yeah,
Yellowlings will get me.
yeah,
Especially Tawny Man. To me, and I love Derry to death. I love Derry to death, and I'm glad that the series means so much to her. For me, I love the first 9 Realm of the Outerlings books, and then after that, like I didn't really enjoy my experience after the last Tawny Man book. Fool's Fate. Fool's Fate.
okay, yeah.
Fool's
I
Fate made me cry. Fool's Fate made me cry. That
I'm in
one.
the
That's my
middle.
answer.
I'm in the middle of Assassin's Quest right now, so I have
I
not
love
gotten.
Assassin's Quest. I'm one of the few people. I gave Assassin's Quest 5 stars. A lot of
Yeah,
people are just like, it's so boring, and I'm like, no, it's not.
I'm loving it right now.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I've heard that too. I've seen a lot of booktubers that just really didn't like it, and I'm like, wow, I'm actually really enjoying it. But
One of the things that Robin Hobb is very good at is making you empathize with Fitz.
hmm,
And so if you are invested in Fitz and Fitz's journey and what Fitz is doing and going on his journey of self-discovery, then you are
Mhm.
going to like Assassin's Quest, because that's exactly what it is. Fitz is on a quest to discover himself and what matters to him.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
it's literally the Assassin's Quest.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yeah. Yeah. It's his own personal quest and journey. Yeah. Absolutely. And
Well, because after the events of Royal Assassin, Fitz is trying to figure out where he fits in the world, what matters to him, what he's going to do with the rest of his life, or what he thinks he's going to do with the rest of his life. And so
mhm.
that's kind of the journey that he is on in this book. He is trying to figure out what is left for him.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
when the book starts out, it's mainly revenge.
Yep. Absolutely. You can have your own opinion, even if it's the wrong thing.
And that's fine. I
Yep.
will say I am happy that people enjoy Rain Wild and Fitz and the Fool. I'm
Mhm.
happy that they enjoy it. There are portions of Fitz and the Fool that I really, really like.
Mhm. That's cool. Fool's Fate is the only book that ever made Nikki sob. Okay.
It's Fool's Fate is a powerhouse of fantasy. Um, it beautifully since you're only on Assassin's Quest, I'm trying to think of a way to describe how that book made me feel. It you've been on this journey with this character for,
Mhm.
I mean, 6 books at this point, and then it's inferred in other ways within, the other 3, that is the live ship traders.
Mhm.
And I mean, you've crossed decades of a character's life. Like, there is a time jump with each single book. You are passing through time
Mhm.
within the 5 kingdoms, and it's just seeing it come to a pseudo conclusion, and the way it happens is just it's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's beautiful, and it's tragic, and it's just it runs all of the like, keep 3 boxes of tissues.
Mhm. Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you for the warning, because I know I'm definitely sold on the series. I'm going to continue either way. I plan to start Live Ship next year,
Okay.
so I'm gonna do it. Derry says you're allowed, and yes, you are. That's why. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's why she started. Yeah.
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 There's a lot of emotion built into the realm of the Outerlings, and I think that's what Robin Hood is very good at doing.
Mhm.
She's going to get a response out of you, whether you like it or you don't. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
And Ursa, yeah, you definitely need to check these books out for sure. It's yeah, I'm definitely sold on the series, and what Nikki said is really true just about the book community in general. Whether it's blogging like she does as well, or booktube, is it gives you that outlet, because so many people in your immediate circle, they don't read, or they
yeah,
don't read the same things you do. So that's what's beautiful. You have this bond with all these people that are reading and loving the books you love, and
you don't like my favorite series, so you
quit.
made a whole video.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Wheel of Time. Yeah. So that's, and that I should have. Well, I said I'm DNFing this popular series, and I probably am, but I'm open to picking it up again maybe in the future. But it's
Honestly,
there's so many series that
yeah,
I just,
no.
yeah.
So the thing, it's funny. I was watching YouTube Shorts, and it was completely non-booktube related, and I feel like that these people said the Wheel of Time, reading the Wheel of Time was like doing nerd homework.
Hmm.
Because like it's such a it informs so much on the fantasy community, whether things have, like, taken inspiration from it or stuff like that. Like, a lot of people feel like they have to read the Wheel of Time. You don't have to read the Wheel of Time. Even as a mega fan of the Wheel of Time, I understand it's deeply flawed. I understand it's not this flawless masterpiece, and it is very easily criticized. It hasn't aged super, like, it's aged well, but not super well.
Yeah.
Just because it relies heavily on an 80s trope. The battle of the sexes has not aged well.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so a lot of modern readers just read The Wheel of Time and go, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And so I started reading it as a preteen. So before I discovered girls and stuff like that. So, very much I was very much at the age of like, oh, girls are icky. And then I started like, reading the book, and then so it's very much like reading a story where like, guys and girls are so different. As a young man, that you've got a point of reference for that, because you
Right.
feel like girls are so different, they're these alien creatures and stuff like that, which absolutely isn't true. but,
Right.
but it leans heavy into that stick, and it gets old after a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of people get tired of that. And there's a lot that can be said about the Wheel of Time. If the Wheel of Time hasn't worked for you yet, it's not going to work for you in the future.
Yeah, I get that, and that's kind of the feeling that I've had. Um, but who knows? We'll see. I tell you what, though, the prologue for Eye of the World
Mm-hmm.
was just absolutely banger. Like,
Yeah, it's very
oh
good.
my goodness, that is one of the best intros to a book that I have ever read in my life. And if the rest of the book was that good,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. So maybe one day, but probably not. I'm leaning toward probably not.
and
So,
that's 100% fine. I'm currently doing a reread of the series. I'm on book 9,
mhm,
and each subsequent, I think only one book has gained a star, and everything else has lost a star.
yeah.
So
One of the series I'm definitely coming back to, but I had to table it, is Malazan. Like
I'm starting a read next month.
yeah, yeah. I read the first two and a half books.
Okay.
I read the first part of Memories of Ice. I got that far, and it was just so overwhelming. I'm like, I have to take a break, and I will come back to it. I read them on Kindle Unlimited, so it's not like I purchased them.
Really? They're on Kindle Unlimited?
The first three are, or at least they were,
Oh.
and then the rest of the series you have to buy or borrow from a library or something. But so I
If you
did.
go Scribd has them all the audiobooks.
Oh, okay. So the audio narrator. I don't know if they changed the narrator for later books, but like,
You don't like Ralph Lister?
what's that?
You don't like Ralph Lister?
Yeah, no, I don't. I
Oh, I
listened.
love Ralph Lister.
So I listened to Dead House Gate. So I started reading Dead House Gates, and it was really a trudge for me. So
Mm-hmm.
then I decided to check out the audio because it comes with Kindle Unlimited. You can get the audio right along with the ebook. So I decided, okay, I'll just switch over to the audio. Oh my goodness, yeah, I could not do it. His audio narration was bad for me. I'm sure he's great for other people. He just didn't work for me. So
He also narrates Shogun
okay,
by James Clavell. So
yeah, that's another one I want to read that I haven't checked out yet. But
I wanted to read it in November, and it just
yeah,
all my indie books just kind of have been overtaking everything.
I
I've
get it.
got traditionally published books that I've been wanting to read forever, and
Yeah,
I love my indie books so much that I just keep pushing those down the line, which is another coming back all the way back to the unhauls.
yeah.
Like, if I can't find an excuse to read these books, I don't need to have them on my shelf.
Right, I get that. And I'm kind of the opposite. I have a bunch of indie books that I want to read,
Mm-hmm.
but I've got so many trad pubs that I want to read as well, and so I usually end up having a few indie reads and then a bunch of trad pubs. So,
That's
but
fine. That's also perfectly
yeah,
fine.
but I am going to try and really hard to get to some more self pubs. I really want to read Richard Nell. I want to
Okay.
finish reading Jesse Teller's series. Just so many self pubs that I want to get to. Uh, Blackjack, Legend of Blackjack. I want
I've
to
been
do.
reading. Oh yeah, I love Legend of Blackjack. You should probably also check out the Collation Cycle by Andrew D. Meredith. I think you would really enjoy that one.
Okay.
He Deathless Beasts is the first 3 books. He's basically been packaging his books up into more um, into collections. There we go. Into
Okay.
collections, and the book 2 is coming out at the end of this month. I've been really enjoying his writing. I just like sink into Andrew D. Meredith's work, and then by the time I come out, like I'm just like that. That was awesome.
That's cool.
More
What's the
day in the
first
life
book?
type of fantasy, where it's like slice of life stuff, where like you'll just follow the life of like fantasy merchant guards or a day in the life of a paladin, things of that nature. And then like there's also like stakes and stuff like that, but it's very like slice of life kind of stuff, and I love that. And then I've also been really enjoying Hybrid Helix by JCM Byrne.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you talking about that one.
Oh, it's
Definitely.
so fun.
That's cool.
A lot
Uh,
of fun.
Nikki had a question here a while back. What do your daily reading habits look like, and when do you usually have books going?
Always. I always have a book going, pretty much. I've actually got my bone conduction earphones right here. So basically, once I wake up and I've got my kids up, I then log into work on a typical weekday. From that point, I'll put on the headphones and it's audiobook time. And I do that for all 9 hours that I am, lunch break, whatever. Now, of course, like if I have to stop and think, I can pause books. If I've got to go take care of kids, I'll pause books. If I've got to make lunch, I'll pause books and stuff like that. So it's not all 9 hours, but a fair bit. And these are actually called Shocks, so not by Bo's Dairy. um, but after that, after I log off of work, I may continue audio for about another hour. And then from there, it's either ebook or physical reading for the rest of the night. Just between activities like, of course, taking care of kids and stuff like that. And then after the kids go to sleep, it's pretty much I get in bed because, my wife works nights.
Yeah.
And so it's usually just me by myself, at least 3 days out of the week. And then she may be tired and just doesn't want to be messed with. And so I just kind of leave her alone. And so I go and read.
Yeah.
So I pretty much read all day long, which is why you see me finishing 13 to 15 books a month.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm similar in that I my particular job, I work chat, and so I'm not on the phones or anything like that. I'm just taking chats all day, and they give us pretty much free reign to do whatever we want when we're not chatting. So I read during work, and that's how I don't complete quite as many as you. I'm a lot slower reading, but you do a lot of audio too, which helps. And
I do a lot of audio, yes.
I do audio in the car. I have CarPlay in my car, so I do audiobooks in the car. But I have not. I don't typically, or when I'm cleaning around the house, I'll listen to audiobooks. But I know. So bone conduction. How it like is it weird at first?
It sits right over there. I don't know if you can see. It
Yeah.
sits right, and it takes maybe 30 minutes to get used to,
Okay.
and you can't quite hear everything in the background because you've got to focus on something.
Right.
And so if you're focusing on your book, then you can at least turn your pause or lower or whatever. Because there's like a button on mine. There's a button, a quick pause. Oh, it's right here. Ah, I dropped them. There's a quick pause button right here, so I can just tap that real quick, and all of a sudden, silence, and I can pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I don't really feel any vibration on the bone. I just get pretty much the full breadth of sound, and then I'm good to go. So, and to
Wow.
answer Gary's question, it's Travis Baldree or Kevin Kemp.
Okay. I've heard good things about Travis Baldree for sure. What does Kevin Kemp do? Which one? What
He
series?
did Fantastically Underwhelming Epic of a Dead Wizard and Average Bard by Keon Arderlin. He also did Tiago Abdallah's A Touch of Light.
Okay.
He
That's
does
another book I
Our
want to read.
Blades. So yeah, and then I mean I've got a slew of narrators. Like I like Ralph Lister. I'm terrible at remembering names right now. Who else? I like. Geez, what's this guy's name? This guy was pretty good. Joel Jackson was really good. Oh, this guy's also really good. What's your name? Ray Porter. Ray Porter's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Barrett's really good. Yeah, we're gonna go with that.
I do like Ray Porter. Yeah, the Bob books, the Bobiverse.
Yep.
Yeah, so good. In
I
fact,
enjoyed Bobiverse. I didn't love it. It
I
didn't
think
blow me away, but I
yeah,
did enjoy them.
it was an okay read for me too. Yeah, it wasn't like one of my top favorite reads of all time, but I love the discussion that I was able to have around it with Pete and Carl from Geek on My Sleeve. We
Mm-hmm.
got to do a lot of content together on Bob, and that was really fun discussing those books. And I think that made the Bob books a better experience for me than I might have had if I just randomly picked it up one day on my own. So,
Okay.
so
Yeah, I heard it, through the grapevine. I heard, Daniel Green was talking about it, and
mhm.
all these people were hyping it up, and it was good. It was solid. It was humorous. I didn't love the fact that each book in the first three books didn't feel like a full book to me, because when you
Mhm.
reach the end of those books, they just end and then just pick back up on the next book. So it
Yeah.
felt like a part of a book instead of book one, because it just you would have a climax, and
Mhm.
then it was just kind of a cut to black, like a little bit of wrap up and then cut to black,
Yeah.
instead of like falling action and all that stuff and taking care of wrapping up storylines. It's like, we'll take care of that in part two, and it's just like, okay, so it feels like the end of a part rather than the end of a book.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I can definitely see that. Ursi asked, do you watch TV?
I answered that one a little bit earlier, but
Yeah.
not a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's funny. I watch a lot of HGTV. Like the app that you will find me using the most is Discovery Plus. Uh,
Okay, that's cool.
usually, I don't have the attention span to get invested in a lot of like fictional story telling. So I'll watch like renovation TV. I'm a fairly handy guy. Like I do a lot of my own home repair. I'm first in plumbing, carpentry, painting, all that stuff.
Wow.
My dad my dad raised me. We used to renovate, like we used to renovate the karate schools that he would open up. We'd renovate our own bathrooms. I helped build a wet bar in the house, like all sorts of stuff. So I was very much raised, to be busy.
Mm-hmm.
So that stuff just appeals to me. I've actually gotten really obsessed with Maine Kevin Masters lately.
Okay.
And then I also watch a lot of MASH,
Oh
just
yeah.
because MASH is fun. It's easy to follow, and I've got all the episodes pretty much. Like I've seen it all like 2 or 3 times through, because it was one of my mom's favorite shows. So I
That's
used to watch it
cool.
with her.
I'm like that with Seinfeld. I rewatch Seinfeld over and over.
Yeah, that's MASH for me.
Yeah.
As well as Doctor Who. I can
Oh
put
yeah.
Doctor Who on.
Love Doctor Who. Yeah.
Uh,
I'm rewatching it for the third time because I'm watching it with my daughter, and yeah, we're big Who fans here.
do you watch the classics?
I haven't seen any of the classics yet.
Ah,
I want to, especially number four. Um, um, yeah, I
this is
need
my
to.
disappointed Whovian face.
Right? I know.
I went back probably at 2013, and I started watching the classics. And so they've been re-releasing them on box sets on
Okay.
Blu-ray,
Yeah.
or I believe, what's that service called? There is a BritBox. BritBox.
Redbox. Yeah.
BritBox has the classic Doctor Who's.
Yeah. And I
Um,
know a lot of the episodes are lost too. They lost a lot of the some of the series.
Uh, there was 97, I believe, episodes missing. They've animated about 30 to 40 of those,
Right.
and they've recovered 10 or 12. So
Yeah.
there's still a good chunk missing. but the majority and most of that resides in the first Doctor, William Hartnell.
Okay.
They've animated a lot of Patrick Troughton,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're animating the Abominable Snowman, which is one that has like the Yeti in it and stuff like that. I don't know if you have a point of reference for the Yeti. You would have a point of reference for the Yeti because the Yeti are controlled by the Great Intelligence, which
Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's the Yeti. They were an implement of the Great Intelligence.
Okay, sure.
I'm a huge Troughton fan. I love Troughton. He had Jamie Fraser was one of the best companions he had. And then, of course, there's just all sorts of fantastic companions with Tom Baker. I love Pete Davidson's run. Pete Davidson's chart just got a little crowded with Adric, Tegan, Nissa, and Turlo
Okay.
all at once. Now, that was a bit much. Colin Baker was not a good doctor on screen, but I will say for Colin Baker is when he moved to Big Finish Productions, which does audio dramas for Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
That really redeemed his Doctor. He was able to really spread vocally. He's probably one of the best doctors.
Okay.
There's hundreds and hundreds of officially like voiced with Tom Baker, Pete Davidson, Sylvester McCoy, all of them on over at Big Finish. It's expensive though. It's incredibly expensive to get those, but at the same time, like, just great stuff. And that's where the majority of the Eighth Doctor, Paul McGann, can be
Okay.
found because he's only had a couple on-screen appearances. He had the short around the 50th. He had his movie, and then in
Yep.
the latest episode, he showed up.
Okay.
Um, well, he kind of showed up, but yeah. And then I met Sylvester McCoy, and
Oh, that's
that's
cool.
cool. So Sylvester McCoy's a lot of fun. He not the best Doctor on screen. Well, he had weird storylines and stuff like that. Like the Paradise Towers was incredibly odd. And Candyman as the villain was very weird. But he had Ace, and Ace was awesome.
Right.
So
Well, that's cool. David Tennant is still my favorite Doctor. Um, and then my I think my second favorite of what I've seen is actually Jodie Whittaker, and that's probably because I mean her a lot of the writing that she got was awful, but
yeah,
she's a great doctor, and I think part of her charm is that she's very similar to David Tennant in so many ways. Um, uh,
I don't know. That's going to be a fairly unpopular opinion.
I know.
Um,
I
I
see a
watched
lot
all
of
of
David
Jodie.
Tennant's mannerisms and quirkiness in her is what boils
Well,
down.
yeah, there is a lot of that, but she wasn't able to pull off the gravitas that Tennant had or that Matt Smith had, because Matt Smith could flip from young and bubbly to ancient being
Hmm.
like that. And I think Jodie got dealt a bad hand because have you seen the latest episode?
I have not seen. Yeah, I don't have access to it yet because I only watch them on HBO Max. I
Okay.
don't have. I I think it's on like the latest one's on Hulu, right?
I don't know. I went and bought it off of Hulu.
Oh, okay, yeah. I need to do that because it's a series I'll watch over and over, but I only watch it on HBO Max right now. And
Mhm.
now the new series is coming to Disney Plus. What the heck is up with that?
Oh, it's
Well,
jumped from Netflix to Hulu to
yeah,
this is nothing new.
yeah.
Uh,
It's just that Disney Plus is kind of a weird choice, but that's okay.
she got her best script and delivered her best performance, I think, in her last episode.
Okay.
And that makes me sad because that lets me know that she had the potential to be amazing, where she was the correct casting choice. She just got dealt very bad scripts, a very bad showrunner,
Hmm.
um, and a lot of people who didn't understand the Doctor because there are certain moments where the way they had Jodie's Doctor act was not the Doctor.
Hmm.
Um, the doctor being confronted. There's a specific scene with Graham that just almost made me quit the show. It almost made me walk away. And it's basically where Graham is expressing concern over the possibility of his cancer returning.
Mm-hmm.
And she just looks at him and says, I don't really know how to comfort you. I'm very uncomfortable with social interaction. And that made absolutely no sense.
I remember that. Yeah, that was completely odd to me too.
Because the doctor still has memories of holding people and comforting them as they died.
Mm-hmm.
Like Matt Smith did this.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed a complete lack of. You can say every regeneration is unique in their own way. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But there's still the doctor. They still have those memories. They can still access that empathy. They're still at the core the same person. And that just showed a complete lack of understanding for that character from the showrunner. I'm not going to blame it on Jodie because Jodie probably didn't have a say. But yeah, no, that was a really bad moment. Plus, the Legend of the Sea Devils, the special before this
Mm-hmm.
final episode was atrociously bad.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to. Was that? So I've
It was,
only watched
it was
up
the Easter
through.
special.
I've finished season 12, and that's as far as I got.
Okay, then there's an Easter special that came out this year that's
Mm-hmm.
just almost unwatchable.
Okay.
And then there's the regeneration special, which was amazing.
Okay. That's very cool. And I already know what happened. Doctor Who, that's the thing about Doctor Who. It's one of those shows that's hard to avoid spoilers on.
Oh yeah.
So I already know we've got, I already know who the temporary doctor is. So and
You'll
I'm
be
very
very
happy
pleased.
about that. But I haven't gotten that far yet. So
Well, it's funny the way it happens on screen. It lets you know something funny is going on
yeah.
because it's not a full regeneration.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually in the modern era, they go like that,
Mm-hmm.
and the light fades and the person is there. That starts happening, and then there's a morphing in the center of the body that flows outward and then encompasses the body to let you know something different has happened.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Well, I'm looking forward to eventually seeing it. I mean,
It was $2.99, and I was willing to pay $2.99 to be up
mhm.
to date for that
Yeah.
one
Oh
special.
yeah, 2.99 is great. So I use Voodoo. I don't know. So I could probably get it for pretty inexpensive on Voodoo.
It's a
But
lot of fun. It's feature length. It's an hour and a half, and it's awesome. It's even better if you have reference for the classic series. If
hmm
you don't, that's fine. It'll still pretty much inform on itself, but it's really great.
cool. Yeah, good to know. That's
And
awesome.
Derry liked Peter Capaldi. I remember being mad at Peter Capaldi's announcement. I was laying on a fold out bed watching it. I don't know why I had the fold out bed out, and I had a water bottle in my hand. And as soon as he walked on, because they did a whole live show for Peter Capaldi, and I threw the water bottle across the room. I was like, "Darn it!" Because he was favored to be the announced doctor, and I thought that was going to be a bad idea.
Yeah.
And Peter Capaldi ended up pretty much killing it. His first season
Oh
was
yeah.
really rough because he was too serious, he was too dour, and he again had that same issue that they were trying to make him a little more alien, but at the same time there was this weird disconnect where like he would have Clara with the note cards, like
hmm
I don't know what to say. Here's a note card with pre-recorded responses, and that's never really been the doctor for me. So that for me felt like a very undoctorly thing.
hmm
After that first season, though, I thought it got really good. Yes, attack eyebrows. I loved attack eyebrows.
yeah. 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 I like Capaldi quite a bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, one of my favorite Capaldi moments is still in that first episode where he's running after the dinosaur. He's like, "Come back here, you big, sexy woman!" And like he's yelling at this giant T Rex.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's definitely very quirky, very doctory. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Some radio plays and stuff. Yeah, that's good. I need to get on the originals. Firefly is another one that I love. I haven't watched it in a long time, but yeah, that's another one. And I'm bummed about Firefly because Disney, of course, is rebooting it,
Is that
and
actually happening?
yeah,
Happening?
from what I've understood, yeah, it's actually happening, and of course they're going to change it, um, make it more family friendly, which but whatever. That's what Disney does.
I think Firefly is a very interesting situation. I think what we got of Firefly was so good that
Mm,
it never had a chance to get bad.
yeah,
So, as a creator, Joss Whedon is very good at creating intellectual properties. Say what you want about the man or whatever that. I never paid attention to the controversy, mainly because I have no stake in the game. I don't
mhm,
engage a lot in pop culture anymore. Um, but his series tend to waffle in quality. And so Firefly was canceled so quickly that, like,
mhm,
from what I've heard, it would have gotten very different than what we were presented. Like, it was going to go downhill very quickly,
mhm.
including like exploring the people with the blue hands and the gloves and stuff like that. And those storylines didn't sound particularly appealing to me.
Yeah,
So I think if we had gotten the Firefly, like more Firefly, it may have been amazing. But I think it wouldn't have gotten its cult status that we enjoy today.
right.
I think it's got this legend now because of what happened,
Mhm.
and because it was doing so well. Like it's always easy to say what if, what if we had gotten more.
Right.
And and Nikki's asking if we've tried the Firefly novels, and I've not. I've only watched the movies and the TV show.
I have not tried the novels either, but I've read other books by James Lovegrove, and he is absolutely amazing. His Lovecraftian Sherlock Holmes pastiche is really, really good. So it so I'm curious about the Firefly novels.
Well, I was excited when Leslie picked up Big Damn Hero, and then she DNF'd it pretty much immediately, and that made me nervous. And then other people were like, "Oh no, it's great," and I'm like, "Okay," but now I'm stuck here with indecision.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
that's very true. Disney needs the toy lines.
I mean, Disney is
But
of
yeah,
course
family friendly
amazing.
Firefly is a frightening concept to me too. Yeah. Um, okay. Haven't read the Dark Horse comic. Big Damn Hero needs to be listened to rather. Okay, interesting.
Oh, okay. Who is the narrator for Big Damn Hero?
Yeah, I'd be curious about that too.
Because, and frankly, like if you're going to do Firefly as a reboot, I need my Nathan Fillion in there. Like,
Yeah, at least in some capacity.
you need to at least bring back, and of course, you can't bring back Ron Glass. Ron Glass has since
Yeah,
passed. I
right.
met Ron Glass before he passed, and he told me he was saving a special place in the saving a place for me in the special hell. I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, it's been great to I've always wanted to meet you." And I'm like dragging my buddy because my buddy is nervous. This was at a con, and I
Yeah,
said, "Could you just say this for us?" And he just kind of raised his eyebrows and delivers the line, and it was
yeah.
fantastic.
Oh, that's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah, so Shep Book is gone.
Yeah.
Um, so that ship has passed, but also like he passed on screen in Serenity, but so did Alan Tudyk's character, and
Mm.
I have difficulty picturing Firefly without Wash.
Yeah, I get that. So
There's a lot to love about Serenity
yeah,
though.
I liked Serenity. I thought it was good. I mean,
If we
granted,
could
it
just
felt a
retcon
little
the end.
disjointed, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I know the one character that they're going to eliminate right off the bat, and that's the companion because it's not family friendly. But she was great. She's an amazing actor in general. So
Well, supposedly by season 2 that you were going to find out that her character was terminally ill anyway, and she was going to die off screen, leaving Malcolm like heartbroken. At least that's what I heard on what they found in what existed of the outline of season 2 and on.
yeah.
So they were going to kill off her character anyway.
Okay, wow.
So at least that's from what I know. But
yeah.
James Anderson Foster. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I haven't heard of him either. Okay.
Is he somebody from the show?
He's the narrator for that we were asking about for Big Bang Theory.
Right. James. Oh, not H. James. James. Sorry, James Anderson Foster. Wow, I cannot spell. What do you look like? No, I think this is just a voice actor. Yeah, this is just a straight up voice actor. So it's not one of the actors from the show.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently Derry's saying that was the information I revealed was correct. So, yeah, Moriana, I can never say her last name.
Yeah, Morena Baccarin. Yeah, she's great. I loved her in Deadpool. I loved her in Gotham. She was really great in Gotham as well.
I flamed out on Gotham pretty quickly.
Yeah. I watched the entire series. It definitely had its misses, but I liked it overall.
Well, they weren't allowed to make the one character the Joker. They were never, because they didn't have the rights to the Joker.
So but in the end, you definitely knew who he was. I'll just put it that way.
Derry, it's funny. I actually had a friend who was in the remake of V. Somebody I went to high school with was cast in V, and Logan Huffman is his name. He's the guy who rides the motorcycle. So yeah,
that's a series I've never seen. That's interesting.
It was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah. It's an alien invasion series, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. It was on my list to watch, but I never did. And I've got so many shows to watch that I don't know if I ever will, but
yeah. I went to high school with Logan Huffman. So
that's cool.
It was funny. Logan Huffman rode my bus. So he lived like a neighborhood over from me. He lives in Australia now. He and his wife moved to Australia.
Wow.
But I had like a couple math classes with him. And I remember at one point, like, he just hands me a script. He's like, I need you to read this other line for me. And I was just like, okay. And so like I used to do, it only happened like a couple times. I'd do like line rehearsal with him so that he could practice his thing. Yeah. And then he moved away junior year. And I think he went out to pursue theater. And then it was, somebody pinged me from high school and they're like, hey, did you see Logan's on TV? I said, no, what show? And they're like, V. And so I was like, oh, cool. And so I watched the first few episodes of that. I didn't catch the whole thing. It was canceled after, I think, after its first season. Might have gotten a second season, but it didn't last super long.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, so okay. I think if it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead and call it here.
Absolutely.
I know you've got your kids and your family stuff, and
they want to see me eventually.
Yeah,
not now, but eventually.
Yeah. Eventually, yeah, one of these days. So
one of these days, they'd like me to come out from underneath my little rock and say hello. Maybe change a diaper or two.
Yeah. Yeah, the necessary stuff, the bare minimum, right?
Right.
I really enjoyed our conversation,
No,
Andrew.
it's been a
I'm
lot of fun.
really glad you could come on, and we'll have to do this again.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and maybe one of these days I'll make it out to Indiana, and we'll
Absolutely.
hang out. So yeah, that'd be cool. It's on my bucket list. I've got places I want to go to see people I like, and so
Oh, there's so many people I want to hang out with.
yeah, same here. I've tons of people in Canada I want to get up to see, and I'm just like, where's the time going?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely it'll be cool to hang out one day, and I'm really glad you could come on and join me for this. So say thank you to your wife and kids, and for
I
giving
can
me.
actually hear my son kind of mewling in the background. So,
He's like, Dad, are you
Daddy!
done? Well, cool. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Thanks so much, Derry. Bye, Tradia. Good to see you guys. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks for
Hope you
having
all
me
have
on.
a great rest of your day.
Jeremy.
And you have to get back to reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I actually got to finish Lost Metal. I'm
Oh,
in the epilogues.
yeah. You got to get there. Well, cool. Well, thanks everybody. Make sure to read more books. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the stream, if you want to hit us up on Voxer,
Yeah, I'm on Voxer.
check us
Come
out on
find me.
Voxer. All right. Bye for now.
Bye.